The UN Security Council's 5 permanent members have issued a joint statement on preventing nuclear war and avoiding an arms race. China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom and the United States signed a statement. China has responded to the joint statement to highlight a few key points. The statement says nuclear war must never be fought and nuclear weapons should only prevent war. The 5 countries promise not to aim their nuclear weapons at each other or other countries. They also say it's important to address nuclear threats and respect the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The statement also stresses abiding to a key article in that treaty on moving to full nuclear disarmament. Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Ma Zhaoxu explained the significance of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Statement and China's position on global nuclear governance.
It's
the first time that the leaders of the 5 countries issued a statement on nuclear weapons. It reflects the political will of the 5 states to prevent nuclear war and sends a shared voice for maintaining global strategic stability and reducing the risk of nuclear conflict. China has always advocated the concept that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. During the consultation process of the joint statement, China also promoted the inclusion of important elements such as reaffirming not targeting nuclear weapons at each other or any other state. This has played an important role in convincing the 5 nations to reach a positive and weighty statement. China will continue to contribute Chinese wisdom and propose Chinese solutions to promote global governance in the nuclear field, and is willing to cooperate with all peace-loving states.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres hailed the joint statement by the nuclear weapon states. The Secretary-General's spokesperson said Mr. Guterres is encouraged by the 5 states' commitment to prevent nuclear war and avoid an arms race. The UN chief looks forward to more details about future initiatives. China's foreign ministry has held a media briefing Tuesday morning. It highlighted China's stance on nuclear non-proliferation and the joint statement. For more on that, let's cross live to our reporter Su Yuting in Beijing. Yuting, you've been following this very closely. Tell us the highlights from Tuesday morning.
Yes, Pandong, Director General of the Chinese Foreign Ministry's Department of Arms Control, Fu Cong, has held a press conference this morning and elaborated on the major highlights of the statement. Fu Cong said that the statement sends a very important signal of the P5's commitment to reducing the nuclear risks and maintaining global strategic stability. And he also said the statement affirms that the nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought, and that nuclear weapons should serve defensive purposes, deter aggression and prevent war. The statement also reiterates that none of the nuclear weapons are targeted at each other or at any other state. He also said that the statement emphasizes the importance of preserving and complying with the bilateral and multilateral arms control agreements and commitments. And it also emphasized the need to avoid military confrontations and prevent arms races. Fu also talked with CGTN on China's contributions to the statement's formation. Let's take a listen of what he has to say.
And from the Chinese perspective, we have been attaching great importance to this process. And as I said, China played a very positive role in revitalizing this process and in pushing for the conclusion of this important document. And in our view, having had this document, we should move ahead on this basis. In our view, this important document by the leaders of the P5 have provided a framework, or if you like, the guiding principles for this P5 process to move ahead. And we would like to see that the P5, on the basis of this important document, to engage in more thorough discussion on issues related to strategic stability and arms control. And that is our appeal, and we will continue to push for that.
And this morning, Fu Cong has also accepted an interview with CGTN immediately after today's press conference. He said due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the 10th NPT review conference, which originally was set to be open today, has postponed again. And Fu also added that China believes that the international community should take the opportunity of the 10th review conference to recognize the importance of the treaty, reaffirm commitment to the previous outcome document, prevent the three pillars of the nuclear disarmament, nuclear non-proliferation, and peaceful uses of nuclear energy in a comprehensive and balanced manner. And he also said it sent a very clear message on upholding international nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation regime. Back to you, Pan Deng.
Thank you very much. Our reporter Su Yiting in Beijing. Earlier, my colleague Liu Xing interviewed Mr. Fu Cong, Director General of the Department of Arms Control at the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Take a listen.
I would say it is a document of historic importance, because this is the first joint statement ever by the leaders of the 5 nuclear weapon states on issues related to nuclear weapons. And the leaders of these countries do not issue joint statement very often. No. So last time they issued a joint statement was more than 20 years ago. That was in the year 2000 after the Millennium Summit. So this by itself shows the significance of this document. And in terms of the content, just now you mentioned that this is one of the most important principles that has been reaffirmed in this document. That is, a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. And this is actually gives us the understanding of the true nature of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are the ultimate deterrence. It's not for war fighting. And the recognition by the 5 nuclear weapon states of this basic fact will go a long way towards maintaining global strategic stability and reducing the danger of a nuclear war. And I think this is quite pertinent, and I would say it is very timely, given the high tension that is building both in Europe and to a lesser extent in Asia Pacific. So this commitment is very important.
For more insights, we're joined in the studio by Mr. Zhang Junshe, Vice President of the China Naval Research Institute. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Zhang. As we just heard from the Arms Control Chief of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Mr. Fu Cong, this joint statement itself is of great significance. To start with its formality, it's the first joint statement among 5 nuclear weapon states. It's the very first, to be honest. So how about we start with your area of expertise, talking about nuclear non-proliferation. It's a global consensus for almost 5 decades now, but recently the AUKUS Trilateral Alliance has agreed to transfer nuclear submarine technologies to Australia. Do you think nuclear non-proliferation still faces challenges like this today and even in the near future?
Yes, sure. I think the decision announced by the United States, Britain, and Australia to cooperate in making nuclear submarines is surprising to all the international society, not only to France, which felt was betrayed by Australia. We can see that such kind of nuclear submarine cooperation is against the goal and the spirit of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, because all the signatories of this treaty have promised not to transfer nuclear weapons, including nuclear materials and technology, to non-nuclear weapon states. During the nuclear cooperation among these 3 countries, the United States and Britain will transfer nuclear weapons, technology and materials to Australia, which can be made for nuclear weapons. I think this is ridiculous because on the one hand, the United States is imposing sanctions on some countries, including Iran, for their development of nuclear items that for civilian use. But on the other hand, the United States and its allies are actually conducting nuclear proliferation. And I think this move by the three countries will induce nuclear arms race and also nuclear proliferation. This will sabotage the nuclear non-proliferation regime and also the international effort, and also will sabotage the building of the nuclear-free zone in the Southeast Asia. So actually this will sabotage regional peace and stability because other countries will follow this example, especially these non-nuclear weapon states will follow the example. If Australia can get nuclear weapons, nuclear submarines, why other countries can't? And why can the United States impose sanctions against other countries? So the United States actually is taking double standard toward nuclear disarmament.
That's right. Talking about double standard, we know the United States is a signatory to the latest joint statement, and we've also heard from the UN chief, Mr. Guterres. He welcomed this joint statement in a quite positive manner, and he also says he looks forward to future initiatives. And we also heard similar comments from the Chinese Foreign Ministry this morning. Mr. Fu Cong said this joint statement provides a framework or guiding principles for future-related work. So what could future-related work or initiatives be under this joint statement?
Well, we hope that all the signatories of this city will comply with their promises in this treaty, especially the United States, who owns the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. We say that according to a report released in June last year, that 2021 by the Stockholm Peace Research Institute, the United States now currently owns more than 5,500 nuclear warheads, and among which were 1,800 nuclear warheads that are currently being deployed. So the United States and other countries should comply with their promises. And I think this treaty, under this treaty, we can make improvements or achievements toward three areas. First is the nuclear disarmament. Second is the nuclear non-proliferation, and also the peaceful use of nuclear energy for all the mankind, not only a small group of countries. So actually during the 5 decades, actually there has been positive achievements that has been made in these three areas. So in the future, I think all the signatories, all the countries should coordinate and cooperate with each other in achieving the goal, the spirit of this treaty.
Talking about future work in this, tell us a little bit more about China's stance in global nuclear governance.
I think China has played a positive role in the international nuclear disarmament and nuclear non-proliferation cause and also the regime. First, we know that China is the only country among all the nuclear weapon states that has declared, that has promised to take a nuclear strategy of no first use of nuclear weapons. China is the only one among all the nuclear weapon states, and China has promised and also actually pursue the nuclear policy that will never use nuclear weapons first against any country at any time and under any circumstances. And also China has promised not to use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon state or nuclear weapon-free zones. I think that this is a very important contribution to the international nuclear non-proliferation regime. I hope other countries will follow China to make such kind of promise.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang Junshou, Vice President of the China Naval Research Institute.